So today, we're going to talk about a pretty radical idea, one that goes against almost everything we're taught about success. It's this concept that the real path forward isn't about adding more, but actually subtracting. It's called minimalist growth, and it's all about getting more done by deliberately doing less. It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, let's dive in.
All right, let's just get right to it and tackle the big idea we've all been sold our whole lives. In business, in our careers, we're just wired to believe that more is always better. More features, more customers, more revenue, more everything. But you have to ask yourself, is that really the way to build something that lasts, or is it just a trap?
So let's talk about that trap, the more is more mindset. I mean, it feels good, right? It feels productive, like you're always making moves, always pushing forward. But where does that constant motion actually get you in the end?
I mean, think about it. This pressure to constantly add creates this feeling of constant, frantic urgency, doesn't it? You end up piling on new features, chasing every shiny new idea, and you tell yourself you're adding value. But are you? Or are you just creating a complicated mess that becomes impossible to manage? And in all that chaos, you risk losing the most important thing of all, that simple, powerful reason you started in the first place. You lose your why.
Okay, so if that's the trap, what's the escape hatch? Well, that brings us to a really powerful and, honestly, a much more strategic solution, the minimalist alternative. It's all about completely flipping the question we should be asking ourselves. And here's the core of it right here. Minimalist growth is a strategy. This isn't about being lazy or thinking small, not at all. It's about being incredibly intentional. It's a focus on achieving the kind of success that actually lasts by deliberately choosing to do less, but doing that one thing exceptionally better. And the key here, the really crucial point, is shifting your priority from just getting bigger to getting stronger and more profitable. It's about depth over width, quality over just quantity.
Now, what's so cool about this is how clearly it lays out the two different worlds. On one side, you've got traditional growth. That's a sprint, scale at all costs. The pace is relentless, and the question is always, what else can we add? But then you have minimalist growth. That's more like a marathon. The goal is sustainable profit. The pace is deliberate and focused, and the mindset, well, it's the complete opposite. What can we take away?
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how does it actually work in the real world? Like, what do you actually do? Let's break down the core principles of how to make this happen.
It really boils down to three foundational ideas. First, you subtract before you add. So before you even dream about a new project, you ask, what can we get rid of right now to make what we already do even stronger? Second, prioritize profitability, not just scale. I mean, a business that gets huge but doesn't make any money, that's just a house of cards waiting to fall. And third, and this might be the most powerful one, master one thing. Become the absolute, undisputed best in a very focused area.
And this is where it all comes together. This is where it gets really, really powerful. Because when you start subtracting and mastering, you unlock the single greatest competitive advantage anyone can have: focus. Let's see what that really looks like.
It's so easy to hear do less and immediately think that it's about putting limits on your ambition or your potential. But that's a total misunderstanding of what this is all about. It's about liberation. See, by subtracting all the noise, all the distractions, the non-essential stuff, you liberate your time, your energy, and your money. You free yourself up to pour all of that power into the one or two things that will actually move the needle. And that's where the real breakthroughs happen. And this just spells it out perfectly, doesn't it? Look at Company A over there, running the more is more playbook. Yeah, they might look busy, but look closer. Their profit margins are thin and their team is completely burning out. Now look at Company B, the minimalist. By focusing on doing less but better, they've got a high profit margin and, just as important, their team is healthy and engaged. The results really do speak for themselves. So, we've walked through the problem, the solution, and the incredible payoff. Now for the final and, frankly, the most important part: making this real for you. Let's talk about your first minimalist step. So I want to leave you with this question. This isn't about changing your entire life or your business overnight. It starts with one small, intentional act of subtraction. So look at your projects, your to-do list, your goals. What is the one thing you can subtract today that will make everything else stronger, more focused, and way more effective tomorrow? Give that some thought. Because the real power isn't in what you add, it's in what you have the courage to take away.